I'm Don Fry, President and CEO of the Greater Baltimore Committee, and welcome to GBC Insider, a program designed to hear from leaders in the private sector, elected officials, and members of the media to gain insight on key issues in business and government. Today, GBC Insider is joined by Nick Mosby, Baltimore City Council President. Council President Mosby, thanks for joining us.
Well, Don, thanks for having me on, and thanks for doing this.
Turn to a topic other than the budget. When the 2020 census report was released, Baltimore City showed again another population loss. Baltimore lost 35,000 residents, or about 6% of its population between 2010 and 2020. That's the lowest in about a century. Does this trend concern you? I'm sure it does. And if so, what ideas do you have to prevent population from eroding further, and what can we do to reverse that trend?
We have some communities that are busting at the seams with growth. Then we have other communities that, we can't stop the bleeding. I mean, the loss is just so great over the past decade, over the past 2 and 3 decades. For the population that we're seeing losing to right over to the county lines. I mean, literally, when we see the migration of folks leaving Baltimore City, they're literally jumping over the county line. How about trying to develop incentives to keep those folks in the communities that they know, that they love, that they care about, with some level of incentives? I think that's a way to start stabilizing some of the bleed that we see from these areas that, again, have been disproportionately disinvested in for far too long. So we're trying to reimagine the dollar home program by not only selling the property for $1, but also giving these same residents access to a $25,000 repair grant to ensure, from an assessment perspective, they're able to go out on the market, get a mortgage, rehab loan, fix up the property, and ultimately stay in the communities that they have known and loved for most of their lives, as opposed to moving out to Baltimore County or to one of the surrounding counties. So I think one thing that we have to really focus on is, one, clearly the perception and reality of crime in our city is a major issue. So I think that takes an all hands on deck approach for us to continue to kind of drive a different narrative, but also a different reality of what we see here in the city of Baltimore. And then structural things like our taxes, right? So from a real estate tax perspective, that's something that we can't just talk about, but that's something that we have to really figure out a way to focus on to help support folks' energy in moving back into the city. And then 3, it's just leveraging who we are as a city. Look, Baltimore, to our east is the water, to our west is the mountains. 45 train ride down south gets you to the nation's capital. 3 hours away from the big city in Big Apple. We have institutions, some of the best hospitals in the world. We have culture, we have arts, we have sports, we have entertainment, all for a great old American city. It's right here in the city of Baltimore.
Baltimore spending panel of the Board of Estimates, of which you're a member of, voted in November by a vote of 4-1 to move ahead with a $150 million renovation of the Royal Farms Arena. You were the dissenting vote in that matter. Could you share with us why you decided not to support that project or that proposal at that time?
It's a 50-year deal. And I was concerned about the level of output that we were receiving as it relates to exactly what they're going to do with, quote unquote, $150 million. I was also concerned that there was no real plan in place to show how they were going to spend $150 million in a 65-year-old building in 11 months. Knowing the issues around supply chain because of COVID, knowing the issues around opening up a 65-year-old building that has been obsolete for 40 plus years, was just really concerning to me. Then when we started to dig down into the detail, it seemed like a significant amount of the $150 million was in soft costs. So if the build out is, say, 110 million or 105 million, whatever it is that really going to put that arena in the position that we need to be in for the next couple of decades? Or are we going to get in the same situation that we had with our Civic Center, where we slap paint on, we do some nice structural things, and then in 10, 15 years, we're back to another obsolete arena? I think that we have to stop undervaluing ourselves as a city. We have to think bold. We have to think out of the box. And that's the type of 21st century arena that I think we need.
Council President Mosby, thank you for your thoughts on these significant issues in Baltimore. The GBC appreciates your work on the council on behalf of the citizens of Baltimore City.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is great.
GBC will continue to provide our members with more information and interviews with key insiders in the business and political community. Until the next time, I'm Don Fry, President and CEO of the Greater Baltimore Committee, urging you to be safe, stay healthy, get vaccinated, get boosted, and remain positive. Thank you.